In the fall of 1714, a deeply unsettling event occurred on the Carolina coast. 42 colonists disappeared without any explanation. They were not kidnapped for ransom, sold into slavery, or killed in a violent raid, they simply vanished. The most chilling aspect, as described by every witness, was the behavior of the pirate captain responsible. He showed no interest in their valuables or ships. Instead, he inspected his captives with the cold, analytical detachment of a farmer selecting livestock, meticulously examining their teeth, listening to their breathing, and testing their reflexes. Recently uncovered colonial records from Charleston reveal that this pirate, Captain Ezekiel Thorne, was no ordinary criminal. Historical documents from his time in the British Navy describe a brilliant surgeon who had saved countless lives in the Caribbean with innovative techniques and an almost supernatural talent for saving patients from seemingly fatal procedures. However, somewhere in the disease-ridden waters of the Spanish Main, this healer underwent a terrifying transformation into something else entirely. For over 3 centuries, the fate of those 42 people remained one of America's most haunting maritime mysteries. Colonial authorities classified the investigation, telling families their loved ones had died in shipwrecks and burying the truth under official secrecy. Now, thanks to archaeological finds near Cuba, decoded documents from Spanish monasteries, and declassified British naval records, the horrifying truth can finally be revealed. The Carolina coast in 1714 was a precarious frontier where European settlements clung to survival against threats from Spanish Florida, hostile Native American war parties, and pirates who used the maze of inlets and islands as hiding spots. The colonists, like ship carpenter Thomas Pettenston and the literate widow Rebecca Hartwell, were not wealthy elites but hard-working families struggling to build a life in a harsh new world. Into this environment sailed Captain Ezekiel Thorne. Born in London around 1675, he was a gifted surgeon who rose rapidly through the Royal Navy's ranks. His service records praise his skill but also contain private correspondence from fellow officers who noted his disturbing, detached fascination with injury and death, studying suffering as if it were a scientific puzzle. The disappearances began on October 15, 1714, at Willowbrook Plantation. Witnesses described a raid of silent, military precision. Thorne, dressed like a naval officer, systematically examined every person, rejecting the elderly, the young, and the infirm. He selected only the healthiest adults, subjecting them to intense physical inspections. He took 8 people, assuring the terrified survivors that the captives would contribute to an endeavor that will benefit all mankind. This pattern repeated over the next 6 weeks at fishing villages, lumber camps, and trading posts along the coast. In each case, Thorne's men took healthy, able-bodied individuals, ignoring all offers of ransom and showing no interest in plunder. The psychological terror this caused was unprecedented. Parents began hiding their healthy children and feigning illness to avoid selection. Colonial Governor Charles Craven launched a massive search. The investigation uncovered abandoned campsites on coastal islands that resembled field hospitals more than pirate lairs. They found sophisticated medical instruments, anatomical drawings, and notes written in medical Latin that described advanced, and horrifying, human experimentation. The colony's chief surgeon confirmed the notes contained medical knowledge decades ahead of its time, acquired through utterly unethical means. Fearing panic, the colonial government classified all evidence and invented a cover story about a shipwreck. Rumors and strange sightings persisted. The mystery took an international turn when a Spanish captain, Diego Velázquez, reported a bizarre encounter with Thorne. The pirate captain had boarded his plague-ridden ship not to rob it, but to expertly treat his sick crew. Most shockingly, Velázquez was quietly approached by one of Thorne's assistants, a captured colonist named Thomas Peton, who claimed he and others were now willing participants in a great medical undertaking that would save thousands of lives. The most detailed account comes from the letters of Dr. James Peton, a Scottish physician in Jamaica. He treated several escapees from Thorne's floating laboratory, a converted galleon called the Anatomist. The ship was a fully equipped hospital where captives were subjected to groundbreaking but horrific experiments. Those who cooperated had old injuries healed and incurable diseases cured with miraculously advanced medicine. Those who resisted were subjected to punitive surgeries designed to disable and intimidate. Thorne used a combination of these medical rewards and brutal punishments to create compliant, even devoted, followers. Dr. Petun was eventually recruited by Thorne's organization and shown undeniable proof of their achievements, like a man whose blindness had been surgically cured. Torn between his ethics and his scientific curiosity, Petun eventually disappeared after sending a final, coded message warning that Thorne's discoveries were too dangerous and came at a cost of human suffering that defies comprehension. The full truth was revealed in a deathbed confession recorded by Father Miguel Santos at a Cuban monastery. The dying man was Dr. Petun himself. He confessed that he had joined Thorne and witnessed the captain's descent into pure monstrosity. Thorne's experiments had evolved into attempts to enhance humans, creating strong but mindless abominations and accelerating the aging of children. Thorne himself had undergone procedures that extended his life but eroded his humanity. The final horror was Thorne's attempt to achieve immortality by transferring his consciousness into a younger body. The experiment failed catastrophically, resulting in two partially merged, conscious but non-viable bodies. This abomination finally caused Thorne's own followers to rebel. They systematically destroyed the floating laboratory, scuttled the ship, killed the subjects who could not be saved, and burned all records, ensuring the terrible knowledge would die with them. The survivors scattered, many seeking refuge in monasteries to atone for their sins. Petun died in 1718, and his confession, along with other survivor testimonies, was sealed away in the monastery's walls, where they were discovered in 1923. These documents confirmed that the original 42 colonists, along with hundreds of others, had been sacrificed in the name of scientific progress that ultimately had to be destroyed. While fragments of Thorne's medical knowledge may have survived with a few practitioners who used it for good, the core of his work was lost forever, a necessary sacrifice to protect humanity from knowledge obtained through unforgivable evil. The story stands as a permanent warning about the moral boundaries that must never be crossed, even in the noble pursuit of knowledge.